Hello and welcome back to part two of this mini series on how to create rock, paper, scissors using Java. So, from last time, we basically planned out all of our code here on this text file, and today we will work on this file that we created last time, and we'll just jump straight into it. So, our first step was to mess with the user. So, I'm gonna give myself a little header over here by using a or a block comment. If you don't know how to do a block comment, it's literally the type of slash that you use for a regular comment, but only just one, and then a asterisk. And then I hit enter. Anything in between it will be commented out. So um, here I'm going to basically give myself the header of user. And I'm going to go ahead and give myself another header of computer, and then I'm going to give myself another header of, let's see, calculations, and then the final one is going to just be display. And that was just setting up our little field here to work. And now let's jump into it. So here we can see that we want to first take in user input, and for that we're going to need a scanner object, which we will have to import and then set up the actual object. So let's do that first. Right here, I'm going to go above, and remember from our other video, taking in user input, all we have to do up here is just write in import java.util.scanner, keep the S capital, and then right here we have to set up our scanner object. So the way that we can do that is by writing scanner input. I say name it input, you can name it whatever, is equal to new scanner system.in, and then close that off with a semicolon. Now that we have successfully made our scanner object and set it up, we need to ask them what choice they want, rock, paper, or scissors, and then store that value into an int. Since we talked about that last time, strings useful, but not in this case. So we're going to be taking that as an int. So first we want to ask them. So we're going to have a print statement, system.out.println, and we're basically going to ask them, what would you like to pick, right? And then we can show them rock is equal to 0, paper is equal to 1, and scissors is equal to 2, and then close that off with a semicolon right there. Now if I were to run this code, you can see that it works so far once it runs, but it'll give this input in kind of like a vertical line, and we don't really want that. So the way that we solve this is by coming over here, and notice that if I use a normal slash that I use for commenting and then I run the code, it's just going to be yellow, so it sees that as a string, and when I run it, it's just going to have a slash in front of the rock right there. That's not really what we want. So if we use the other kind of slash and then type in n, it tells the computer, hey, this needs to be a new line. So put slash n right there, and another slash n right there. If we were to run this, it kind of shows the user kind of like a more cleaner fashion, and since we're trying to basically flex our skills right now, we're going to try to make it look as clean as possible. And now that we have that, we want to store the user's input, so we're going to basically set up an int variable. Let's see, int, I'm just going to call it user is equal to input dot, let's see, next int, and that is all. And so that's how we took in the user's input. This is gray because we haven't really done anything with the user yet. So now that we've done that, let's see what else we have left to do. Comparing the output is later, so that will be a part of our calculations portion. So for now, we're good with user. Now let's move down to computer. And for computer, we need to randomly generate that value, that input, which we use math.random. And again, we want to go from 0 to 2. So we'll go over here, go down to our computer section, and we'll use our math.random value, but we want to store that into something. So I'll just write int comp is going to be equal to math.random. And this generates a value from 0 to 0.999, repeating, and we want to have that max out at 2. So I'm going to multiply that by 3, close that off with a semicolon, and it's giving me an error because this will give me a double value, and I'm trying to store that into an int. So what we can do is we can just typecast this real quick and write int right there, and that should be it. Here we have int comp set, int user set. Now we got to get on to the meat of this section, which is calculations. So if we look at our calculations portion right here, we see that basically this is our little cheat sheet right here, and this is also our cheat sheet in the sense that kind of gives us our, R to number value or string to number value basically. So what I want to do is I want to basically copy and paste this entire section over here. I'm going to copy it, go on over here, and I'm going to paste it. Now this is going to give me a bunch of errors, and I can just select all of this and then hold down Control or Command if you're on Mac, and then press our slash to comment things, and I press that and it's all commented out. So here what we want to do is we want to use a bunch of if statements. And so if you look at it by, from a pattern view, we can see that if you give rock and you have paper, paper wins, right? And if you look here, rock is 0, paper is 1. Now if you have paper and you have scissors, scissors win. And paper is 1, scissors is 2. So you can see that if the higher number wins, right? And so we're going to type that over here. The higher number usually wins. Now the exception is when you have scissors and you have rock. In that case, rock wins, but rock is 0 and scissors is 2. So that's kind of like the little area that people like, that's gonna potentially break our code, and we don't want that to happen. So let's take on and use our math values over here to basically compare the ints. So I'm gonna write if, so if user, right, is equal to 0, which would mean that they're rock, correct? And what we want to do is, well, instead of comparing it with numbers, how about we do it like this? If user is greater than computer, right, we want to say that computer, or we want to have a print statement that says system.out.println, and in between these quotes we will write that so user, so you have 1, right? Now I'm gonna close this off, and then it'll work. But the issue is that if I have user as equal to scissors and computer is equal to rock, well, rock beats scissors, and it's not gonna be that's not really always gonna work. So what I want to do is I want to say I want to have an AND case in here. So the way that we do AND is by having double ampersand. So ampersand, ampersand, and comp is, rock is 0, so is equal to 0, right? However, we want to make sure that it's not equal to 0. So I'm going to put parentheses around this comp is equal to 0 part, and then I'm going to put, if you remember from our other lesson, our exclamation point right there. So it's basically saying if the user is if the user's number basically is greater than comp, right, and comp is not equal to 0, basically rock, then you got to print out, hey, you have 1, right? Now let's have another print statement, right, that does kind of like the opposite. So we're gonna have if comp is greater than user, right, and we want to have another set of parentheses in here, and user is, well, in this case, is equal to, but then we'll go out here and make that not. So is not equal to rock, right? We'll print out system.out.println. Sorry, you have lost. The computer has 1, right? And that will be it. Now, what happens if comp is equal to 0 or user is equal to 0, right? So we need to set up that variable set as well. So we'll if user is equal to 0, right? And so if the user has rock, right? And we want to say, let's see, and the computer has scissors. Oh, not computer, it's comp. And if computer has scissors, well, in this case, rock would win. So in this case, it would be the user. So we can just take this comment right here and just copy and paste that over here. Now, the flip side is also true, correct? If the user has scissors and the computer has rock, then we can basically print out, hey, the computer has won. And here is that print statement. And we'll go ahead and paste that right there. Now, our final clause is, what if there's a tie? So, well, and there's no, that's going to be the same input or output for all of them. So that's just going to be a single if statement. It's going to be if, let's see, user is equal to comp. You can just print out system.out.println. No one has won. It was a tie. And then end that with a, semicolon right there. And that kind of takes care of our display section, so we don't even need that. Now, let me try and run this code, and let's try to debug any bugs if we have any. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say, what would you like to pick? I'm going to say, why not do scissors the first time, and says no one has won, it was a tie. But we don't really know who, what the computer has. So I'm going to go up here just for us. This won't actually be a part of the actual code. I'm just going to have a print statement that says system.out.println, and it's just going to have comp. Now, the thing is, we can't really cheat here because the system asks me before it asks the computer. So I can't really look at the computer and say, okay, all right, if the computer has rock, then I want to get paper. That's not really going to work here, so I won't cheat on camera or even off camera. And here we are. What would I like to pick? I'm going to go with rock this time. So I'm going to hit enter. And okay, so it had scissors, and it says that rock wins. So, okay, I have won. All right, that makes sense, right? I'll go with rock again, right? Oh, there's two. So let's see if we can play this again, and paper is equal to 1. So, all right, let's go with paper. No one has won. It was a tie because the computer also had 1 as well. And I'm going to play one last time with scissors. Sorry, I have lost. The computer had 0, which is rock, and the computer has 1. All right, so that's working pretty good, but we can definitely add some more. Fanciness, make this look a little nicer, and we can also have some kind of output that says, hey, you have lost, the computer has won because the computer picked, blank. So come back next video and we will try to make our code look pretty and make it a little nicer to play with, and hopefully you can play along as well. Thank you for watching.